Welcome to the Strauss Storyteller program. This is the first day of our storytellers for the Strauss ECE, and I was asked to read you all a book. So the book I chose was Caps for Sale, and the reason I picked it is because 12 years ago today was my first day working at the Strauss ECE. And this is the book that I read to a couple of the 3- and 4-year-old classes. So I chose to read this again to you today. Caps for Sale. Once there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like an ordinary peddler, carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. First, he had on his own checked cap, then a bunch of gray caps, then a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, and on the very top, a bunch of red caps. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight, so as not to upset his caps. As he went along, he called, "Caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street and he walked down the street calling, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody even wanted a red cap. He began to feel very, very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," said he, and he walked out of town very slowly and very straight so as not to upset his caps. He walked for a long time until he came to a great big tree. "That's a nice place for a rest," thought he. And he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put his hand up to feel if they were straight. First his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. They were all there, and because he was so very tired, he fell asleep. He slept for a really, really long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place. All he felt was his own checked cap. He looked to the right of him, no caps. He looked to the left of him, no caps. He looked in back of him, no caps. He looked behind the tree, no caps. Then he looked up into the tree, and what do you think he saw?
Caps.
On every branch sat a monkey, and on every monkey was a gray cap, a brown cap, a blue cap, or a red cap. The peddler looked at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. "You monkeys, you," he said, shaking a finger at them, "you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, "Sss, sss, sss, sss." This made the peddler angry. So he shook both hands at him and said, "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their hands back at him and said, "Sss, sss, sss." Now he felt quite angry. He stomped his foot and said, "You monkeys, you better give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet at him and said, By this time, the peddler was really very, very angry. He stamped both his feet. "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him and said, At last, he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap and he threw it on the ground. And he began to walk away. But then each monkey pulled off his cap. And what do you think happened? And all the gray caps and all the brown caps and all the blue caps and all the red caps came flying down out of the tree. So the peddler picked up his caps and put them back on his head. First his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps and the blue caps, and then the red caps on the very top. And slowly, slowly, he walked back to town calling, 50 cents a cap, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap.